Welcome to Coffee with Danny and V. This is Danny. I'm V. Today we want to talk to you about nutrition and how to eat healthy for $50 a week. It's very important to support your menopausal health with the right nutrition. And Danielle, being a certified nutritionist, is here to tell us all about it.
So I always get the question, where do I start? I want to eat healthy. I just don't know where to start. I don't know what to buy. Where do I buy it? A lot of that. And, I give recommendations, and sometimes, my progression through health has ended me shopping at more along the lines of a health food store as far as my grocery store. But that's definitely not where I started. I started at your normal grocery store. And I think that's, as I've recommended to different people at different stages of their life, for them, switching grocery stores has even become one of the hurdles of trying to eat healthy. They just kind of give up because they don't know what to do. They think they have to go to the health food store.
Exactly. And if it's not convenient, you feel like eating healthy is sort of somehow out of the purview of what you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take this approach of how to start eating healthy, and really seeing this as a stepping stone. There's definitely a more progressed way of eating healthy, and that's something to do later, looking at organic, looking at your grass-fed meats, those kinds of things, or grass-fed beef, but your free range chickens, like different things like that you can start looking at as you progress in your healthy eating lifestyle, because this truly is a lifestyle change, to do it right for long-term, But so what's that starting step? What's that stepping stone kind of for getting started?
Yeah.
So I did this. My other thing is budget. There's a lot of people out there that are, on a budget. They feel like health food is more expensive.
Well, it does feel that way. Vegetables are expensive. Can I buy canned vegetables? Can I buy frozen vegetables?
Yes.
I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
And, you and I talk nutrition a lot. So I feel like when you're talking about this, I'm still going to have questions. If you don't mind.
Yes.
Okay.
Go away. Question away.
All right.
But I did want to show. So this is $50 for one person for a week's worth of groceries.
You bought all this for $50.
All of this for $50.
And where did you buy this at? Did you go to a health food store?
No, I went to, in our town, we have a Safeway. I think there's a lot of Safeways throughout the U.S.
So just like a regular
grocery store. Yeah.
Okay.
A regular grocery store. And this is where I started, when I really was starting to look at things and starting to want to live a healthy lifestyle. I started at my basic grocery store that I had been shopping at for years. But it started with me reading labels. Now I know that that's also time consuming and people don't have the time. So I wanted to show you things that I've learned to buy over the years from reading labels that do focus more around the whole food type of eating. And there are some processed things here, but they're minimally processed. So paying attention to how many ingredients are on your label, keeping it as reduced as possible, understanding the names of the ingredients, right? And I'll show you some examples of that. So let's get started. I did do a full meal plan with this for a week so that you could see how all of this fits within a week worth of food for you for one person. So we'll start with breakfast. I'm also going to talk about fiber because we talk about fiber a lot.
It's important.
It's very important for so many different reasons, for a healthy lifestyle, but also because it's very important for feeding your probiotics, which we're big on. So I'm going to start with oats. I get a lot of questions, and it's very rich in fiber. Oats are also gluten-free. And I think some people know that or don't know that. I know there's a lot of gluten sensitivity coming up. And really, unless you have celiac disease, you don't necessarily need to stay away from gluten unless you just have, kind of an intolerance that makes your stomach hurt. But in general, you don't necessarily need to completely stay away from gluten. It's more around health conditions. But oats are a great source of your whole grains. And I get a lot of questions on oats about the type of oat. Because
you got your steel cut and your quick oats, and I get confused for sure.
So old-fashioned oats. That is your minimally processed oat.
So we should look for the words old-fashioned.
Yes.
Okay.
You can do steel-cut oats also. Try to stay away from quick oats. And I say that especially because they're processed. There's some more additives to them. And usually when you go for like a packaged instant oatmeal, it's loaded with sugar. So you can see, and I'll show you everything here. I've learned to stay away from sugar, but I do have a sweetener on the table and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So for breakfast, go with your oats. And I have this on like my menu for 5 days during your week.
So you're going to eat oatmeal every morning?
Almost, yeah.
Okay.
Out of your 7 days, probably about 5 days. And to go with it, it doesn't just have to be oats, right? You know, because I think a lot of people think it has to be boring or mushy or, you know, all of that. And so oats are great. And I think the other misconception is you can't do an old-fashioned oat in the microwave. You can.
Oh.
You can.
I was going to ask you, so do I have to like stand over the stove and cook this in the morning? Because when I think old-fashioned, that's how I think I'm going to cook it.
Right.
Okay.
Nope. There are instructions even on the back, microwave versus stovetop. You can microwave an old-fashioned oat.
That's really cool.
Yes. So you're not stuck with a quick oat.
Okay.
To get a quick oatmeal.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
So with our oat, we're going to add some different ingredients to make it yummy, of course. So our sweetener on the table, I do recommend a honey. Try to get a raw honey. A lot of honeys, unfortunately, on the market are added with sugar, and they're actually more processed than your traditional honey in its natural state. Okay. So if you can even get it with the little crystallization kind of look, that's even better. It's in even more of a raw state.
Oh, really? So that crystallized thing that you see in honey means that it's more pure,
right?
Essentially.
Right.
I did not know that. I thought it meant it was going bad.
No.
Oh.
In fact, if you have a jar of honey that is starting to crystallize, you can warm it up in a hot bath of water to get it to free itself and kind of liquefy again.
Well, geez, my mind is blown already. That's fantastic. Okay, cool.
So again, this was just a really inexpensive option, and I'll tell you, we're not supporting necessarily any of these brands. Right. This is just the things that I have looked for and have learned in the past that have minimally processed ingredients. And I want to show you keywords, you know, what I bought and what to look for. So this raw, unfiltered honey is good. Now, there's also, I'll throw this little tidbit. If you get a local honey, it's always best for you because it helps with your natural like allergies and stuff like that. So it builds kind of that pollen base from your natural environment. So it really helps with allergies. So we have our honey, drizzle a little honey on your oatmeal. We have some blueberries. Now I opted for frozen blueberries, and I want to tell you why. You might think, oh, I don't want to put frozen on there. Throw half of this bag in a container in the refrigerator. So they're a little cool. Or just leave them frozen and put them in a container and warm them up in the microwave with your oatmeal.
Oh.
So then they're warm. Mm-hmm. It also kind of gives a natural little sauce. So, and that just adds extra flavor, extra juice, whatever. So don't be afraid to do a frozen berry, which is always nice because whatever you have extra, you're not worried about it spoiling. I know that it's hard to use a lot of this fresh produce and feel like, you know, you have to use it before it spoils. So frozen berries are a great option. So throw in your frozen berries. I also have bananas on the table, so you could actually do bananas instead of the blueberries if you wanted, or a combination of both. And then I have some chopped walnuts. So again, it doesn't have to be a lot of walnuts that you buy. I think this little bag was about $2.50, but it's enough to sprinkle on all 5 days worth of your oatmeal, plus even a couple salads. Honestly.
And it gives you like that crunch factor that's so important when you're talking about making sure that your food is satisfying. The crunch factor is really important.
Yeah. And it gets rid of that feeling of you're just eating mush, right? A lot of people have that thing with oatmeal. Try adding nuts. And you could do any nut, really. I went for walnuts. I really believe in the health benefits of walnuts. They have some great omegas in walnuts. So it's a great way. Again, all of these things add variety to your nutrition profile, which is so important. Variety is so important when you're talking about nutrition.
And so we've been talking about eating the rainbow before, and already I feel like we're getting there.
Yeah.
So I know we have some other oat options on the table.
Yep.
You want to tell us about these?
Yes. So this is my $50 budget, and I did go for the generic old-fashioned oat, which is perfectly fine. But I wanted to show you a few options on oats because I think oats are confusing. Do I need organic? Do I not?
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff. And I think we'll do another video on going organic and when you need to go organic and that kind of thing. So if you want to spend the little bit of extra money, and it was really only a 50-cent difference going between the two, from a non-organic to an organic. So if you're willing to spend that extra 50 cents to go for an organic oat, I would recommend that. If not, that's okay too. Now, my other option that I found was this. And what I love about this is it gives you variety on your whole grains. So this was not only organic, but again, it was $1 difference between this and this. And you've got your 8 pouches, so that well fits into your week, you know.
Sure. And you could carry over some of that, like 75 cents of it, maybe to your next week's budget.
Your next week's budget. Or if you feel that you want a little extra, pack it in half, you know, every day. But what I love about this is it has a variety of whole grains. It has your oats, it has barley, wheat, quinoa, rye, and flaxseed in there. So you're really getting a better nutritional profile with having this versus just your oat.
Right. You're getting like the different macronutrients that are in each. Yeah. Okay.
So a little more bang for your buck nutritionally and literally $1 more.
Okay.
So
cool.
All right. Now, the other couple of days for breakfast, what I have in here is smoothies. I do smoothies every morning for breakfast, and then I do my oats every other day. Now, the oats are very important for your fiber intake, so they add to, you know, that getting your 20 to 25 grams. With my smoothie, I add our happy fiber so that I'm getting that additional fiber into that, as well as I'm using whole fruits and vegetables when I do my smoothies. I'm not juicing them. I'm smoothing them, so you still are left with that fiber pulp.
Right.
And you're ingesting some of the fiber from the food. So you're going to use your spinach. Spinach is great for smoothies. It's a mild flavor. You're not getting that overly bitter taste from some leafy greens. So spinach, your blueberries, throw a little honey in there for sweetness, and then I use water as my liquid base for my smoothies. You don't have to add really much more to make your smoothie there.
So what's really interesting is when you said smoothie, I looked at this and I went, wait, what are you going to make a smoothie out of? Because I always think smoothie kind of like when you go to like Starbucks or something, right? And you throw in some dairy and you're right.
Yeah. And my smoothie recipe, it's a no dairy. Yeah.
All right.
So you have what you need for your smoothie right here. You've got your berries, which adding a frozen berry really does help for the texture of like a smoothie. It kind of thickens it up a little bit. And then you've got your spinach, and then just add a little bit of honey. So that's really breakfast. So you've got your whole week of breakfast right there. I'm going to touch on lunch, but I actually want to talk about lunch after dinner. Oh. So, because lunch is really going to be some leftovers.
Oh, okay.
So, you're going to carry forward some leftovers, and then we're going to talk about using the rest of the spinach in your salads. So, dinners. And I will type all of this up so that we have it probably at the end of the video or attached somewhere so you guys can
just
find
download
it and download something so you know. And then I'll do my little shopping list too. But so for dinners, you're talking about, I did buy just a bag of chicken breast. It's chicken breast tenderloins. And I went with tenderloins because it's smaller portions. The idea was this is for a single person. But even when you're cooking for two, just cook 2 tenderloins. It's really all you need. If you have, a partner that wants more meat or whatever, you could cook 3. But this is enough for you to do, not only cook extra at dinner for your salads throughout the week, have it done, ready and cooked already, but you we're going to use this as our main meat source throughout the week for dinner. And any of these options, there's a couple options we'll talk about. You can choose to add the chicken or not add the chicken. And again, as you're continuing shopping, you may use half this chicken and buy some fish, but you're getting outside your $50 budget. But to change things up and then use the other half, next week.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got some options there if you don't want chicken. But I know a lot of people, they go for chicken when they're,
Well, chicken seems like it's a healthier choice than a red meat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it seems easier to cook than fish, I think, in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of people are scared to eat fish. If you're not scared to eat and cook fish, try it. I really started with tilapia as a basic fish, and it's mild to get me started. The more I learned about things, now I eat other fish that I'm focusing on wild caught and sustainability and different things like that. So, but those two things I think are a great starting point. So for our dinners, we're going to do chicken. We're going to do some brown rice. Brown rice is so important compared to white rice. So when you're talking about trying to eat healthy, what I like about these is they're literally 4 separate bags, boil in a bag. It's no measuring. You pull it out, you throw it in the pot, you boil it, it's done. And you're getting, again, the brown rice with the husk on it. It hasn't been processed the way white rice has been processed. So you're keeping in that fiber, you're keeping in that whole grain. And so you've got in a half a cup, which there's 8 servings, so there's 2 servings in one little bag, you've got 4 grams of fiber right there.
Wow.
Whereas white rice has none.
Right.
So when you're got that goal of trying to get in your fiber, really you want to be paying attention to those things. And just for nutrition base, a lot of people don't understand that eating those processed things like white rice can really start throwing you into pre-diabetes and contribute to diabetes even and stuff like that. So we're here to, how do we do this to eat healthy? So we're going to have our brown rice. And then for our first night, we're going to roast sweet potatoes. So skin on.
Do you think that's, just a general rule?
It's a general rule with most vegetables, with like your cucumber even, leave your skin on. The English cucumber has a lighter skin. So it's not as thick and tough. Every once in a while, I will do just a small trimming on a cucumber like this. But back to our sweet potato. Yes, leave skin on. All potatoes, really eat that skin. That's really where your nutrients lie. So chop this up into little pieces and dice it up, and we're going to roast it in the oven. That's one of my tricks that I really learned. It's so easy. You throw the oven on 400 degrees. I put tin foil down, so even less of a mess to clean up. You sprinkle your vegetables, drizzle a little olive oil on it, a little salt, spices, whatever. Throw it in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. You don't have to baby it on a stove, anything. You can just throw it in the oven, set the timer, and wait for it to be done. So roast them has such a great flavor. So do that with your sweet potatoes. The other thing is if you like them softer versus more crunchy, I like the crunch better, then throw them in the microwave in a little water beforehand to soften them up before you roast them.
Okay.
Little tip there.
So real quick, you mentioned olive oil.
Yes.
And I know we have some olive oil over here.
Yes.
Should we touch on olive oil and what you're looking for there? Yeah.
So in my budget of $50, it did not include the olive oil. So I'm hoping you have some at home or you spend it a little. This one was $6. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just look for an extra virgin olive oil. And this should last you couple weeks probably. So you're just drizzling a little bit on these vegetables, and I'll mention the olive oil through a couple different recipes and a couple different meals. But the olive oil is really where I would go.
And the important thing is to look for an olive oil that's extra virgin.
Extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. And then as you get, the other one would be cold press I would look for. So this first cold press. But Bertolli you can find pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things you're really looking for.
Okay.
On the oil side, which we can talk about later in another video too, other great options, avocado oil and coconut oil. Coconut oil doesn't always work for everything, but roasted vegetables, it's really good on.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so meal number 2, we're going to save some of those leftover sweet potatoes, because I'm sure sitting for dinner, one person, you can't sit there and eat a whole sweet potato.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of potato. Yeah.
So save the leftovers. We're going to save it for a salad, or we're going to save it for some tacos later. So then you're going to, day 2 is your tacos and your tortillas. That's the important one here. Go for corn over flour. Flour tortillas are made from white flour, which is processed flour. Now, I know there's a lot of things around GMO and corn, and there's a lot of questions. And again, yes, taking your health to the next level, there's some other things to discuss. But as a beginning starting point, unless you have a sensitivity, go for a corn tortilla anytime over a flour tortilla. And literally the ingredients on these are so minimal. Yes, you've got a little guar gum in there and benzoic acid, to hold things together. But it's so much better for you than going for a flour tortilla, a white flour tortilla.
I kind of feel like that's in the past, that's definitely one of the things that's kept me from eating healthy, is because I feel like there's all these barriers that I can't meet. Looking for the non-GMO and looking for reading the labels and everything. I find a lot of excuses. And I use those things as, well, I can't do it perfectly. Yeah. So why would I bother? Well, and progress over perfection.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And that is so key when you're starting out. For all of these things, again, this is from just your normal grocery store. You have healthier options. Let's say it's not your maximum healthy, the organic, the GMO, all this stuff. But you're getting healthier. And if you were to compare this compared to probably what you normally eat, especially with the standard American diet, the way that it is, you'll probably find that it's going to help you with your health, in such a substantial way, just by getting to this, kind of a state of things. So again, progress over perfection. Start by replacing your flour tortillas with corn tortillas. It doesn't have to go full GMO, sprouted corn, like all that stuff. Just start by doing that instead. Start by brown rice instead of white rice. Baby steps.
Got it.
So do some tacos. Throw some black beans on there.
I love black beans.
They're so good, and they're so healthy for you. They really are. So put black beans on your tacos. Throw a little chicken on there. Throw some spinach on there. And then throw those sweet potatoes, some of those leftover sweet potatoes. Just a little sprinkle. You only need 2-3 pieces in each taco to add that little sweet and flavor. And so now you've got tacos, right? So after that, go back to, because we have for our weekly budget 4 packets in here, we're going to go back to chicken and brown rice, but this time we're going to roast some cauliflower. Now, cauliflower, it's 99 cents a pound. This thing was $3. This whole huge thing was $3. Now, you're going to get a lot of meals out of this.
That feels like a week's worth of meals right there. That is huge.
Cut it in half. Roast half of it the first time.
Okay.
And we're going to use the leftover pieces of that roasted cauliflower in some salads and later on in some other meals also. But you'll have that ready. So cut half of it, roast half of it in your first, and then use the leftovers. So that's meal number 2. Meal number 3, let's make a chicken pasta. So pasta is also, I think, the one that everyone gets hung up on, kind of like rice or oats or things like that. And I highly recommend going to a whole grain, whole wheat pasta. Now, again, if you're gluten-free or celiac disease, then of course you've got to stay away from the wheat, but there's some other options out there. There's black bean
I love black bean
noodles,
pasta.
And there's lentil noodles and vegetable noodles, stuff that you can do if you can't do the whole wheat. But this one's great. It's a thin spaghetti. Okay, so start there by going a thinner. You're not going to taste the difference as much, right? So it's going to hide that it has a slightly different texture, to it. But you're getting, I looked at this, there's 8 servings in this. And this is, I mean, you're probably going to use a quarter of it to a third of it maybe for one person. And you'll probably have leftovers for your lunches. There is 8 servings, and in one serving you have 7 grams of fiber.
Wow. That's almost half of your intake for the day.
If you eat a quarter of this, you've got 14 grams of your fiber right there.
Wow.
Just by switching that out.
Crazy.
If you were to go to a normal non-whole wheat option, it's 0. It's 0 grams of fiber. Or it'll have that less than 1 symbol, right? So go for a whole grain pasta. Go for even a lentil pasta that has great fiber in it. Black bean pastas. Your beans are going to have some great fiber in there for you to really give you that fiber boost as well. So pasta, you're like, okay, well, I recommend doing a pasta with this setup. You're going to use some of that leftover roasted cauliflower on your pasta. You're going to do an olive oil base.
Okay.
So drizzle a little olive oil on it. You could even put a little splash of lemon juice on your pasta, some garlic salt, and then put a little like diced onion. So this is a big onion. Cut it in 4s, and we're going to use it 4 times, in different meals throughout the week. So you can get a lot out of that one onion, right? Do that on your pasta with a little bit of chicken, and you have a meal right there with some great vegetables in it. You've got your whole grains, you've got a nice, nutritious dinner meal.
Cool.
So after that, go to another taco, because we've got lots of these in our budget. So we had lots of these corn tortillas, but this time use some refried beans. So they have a black bean.
Okay.
Refried bean, which I would highly recommend over a pinto bean, but you could do a pinto bean, but you're going to get more nutrients out of a black bean. And then I do go for a low fat, and I go for a low fat mostly because I'm going to make sure that there's no lard.
Right. I was just thinking, you said refried bean, and like the little warning signal went off in my brain. You're not supposed to eat those.
Yeah.
They have a lot of fat.
So listen to the ingredients on this. Cooked black beans, water less than 2%, and water less than 2% of salt, distilled vinegar, jalapenos, chili pepper, onion pepper, spices, natural flavor, and garlic powder. That's
so
it.
No lard.
There's no lard in this.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's a big deal, because I love refried beans, but I always avoid them thinking there's too much fat. Oh, cool.
All right. So throw those on your tacos. This time, instead of the black beans, cut up half of this, use your quarter of your onion, saute the sliced pepper and the onion together, and throw those on your tacos, and they're with some chicken, and it's delicious. Now your tacos, that's an option too. You don't have to put meat on them. So if you're looking for meatless, your pasta options, your taco options, try no meat one time. Especially like the sweet potato ones. You don't have to put meat on it, and go meatless. It actually helps. There's a lot of different things about meat, out there. So try a meatless Monday.
There you go.
So tacos, again, go back to your chicken brown rice, roast the other half of your cauliflower, and then go to another pasta meal. This time use some olive oil, some leftover cauliflower, and a quarter of your diced onion. Then for your lunches, you're going to use some leftovers. With all this pasta, you're going to have some leftovers. You're going to have leftover chicken. In your pasta, you could even throw in some spinach, a little bit of spinach into your pasta. I would do it later. Keep it nice and bright green. Don't overcook it. So you're going to have lots of leftovers. Use your leftovers as your lunches. It also helps if you're working or have to take your lunch, whatever. Right. It's really easy to put into containers that are sized for taking it off to lunch.
Yeah. And I feel like lunch is one of those points of the day where you're hungry.
Yeah.
You're at work. You're not making the best food choices. Everybody wants to go out for lunch or right, there's donuts in the break room or whatever it is, right? This seems like a really good way to have your lunch prepared, bring it with you, and take some of that lunch pressure off.
Yeah. And even starting your meal plan, don't start it on Monday. Start it on Sunday or Saturday, because then you have those leftovers from the weekend already ready for Monday. and start your week off with good habits. Instead of starting your meal plan on Monday, which your first leftovers isn't ready till Tuesday, then a lot of times you're going to make a bad choice on Monday. And that gives us an excuse to keep going.
Yep.
There's so many times, I'll start on Monday, right?
Yep.
And if Monday goes bad, I'm like, screw it, I'll start next Monday. So to avoid that, start your meal plan on the weekend so that you have at least your first set of leftovers, or prepare your salad. So there's enough here to make some salads with the spinach. So a few ideas with what I bought. Do an apple and walnut salad.
I was just thinking that. I was thinking, wait, we have the apple and there's some leftover walnuts, and that sounds really tasty.
It's really good. Cut the apple in half, use a half an apple, and throw a little walnuts on there and some salad dressing. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Could you even sprinkle some of those blueberries on there if you wanted to?
You sure could.
Get a little fruit salad going?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I love fruit salads. I really do. Okay, so then you have your cucumber. This is going to do quite a few salads. You could cut this in thirds, dice it up. You could get 3 salads out of this. Cucumber, some onion, a little bit of the roasted cauliflower on a salad. If you have some sweet potatoes left over, some roasted sweet potato, that's really good on a salad. You'd be surprised. And again, it's about variety. It's about color. You've got your green. You've got your green here. You've got your cruciferous vegetables. You've got your reds, you've got your purples. I would always go for a purple onion over a white onion. You've got more antioxidants there. And then an apple, you've got that healthy fiber again. I don't want you to avoid fruit thinking there's too much sugar. Your fructose from your fruit is really beneficial. So then I would also do some red pepper, the rest of your red pepper on your salad with some cucumber and onion or whatever. So you've got plenty of options here to kind of mix up your salads and have enough to make salads and use leftovers if you don't want leftovers every single day.
Wow. That's fantastic. So we've got a couple
I have
of
one thing, and I don't want to forget it. Garbanzo beans. And this one to me is really important, and I didn't want to forget this because it's for putting on all of your salads.
Oh, okay.
So adding your fiber, you get a lot of great fiber from your spinach, from your fruits and vegetables, but up your fiber just a little bit to meet that 20 to 25 grams. Just get a can of garbanzo beans, drain it, and use a little bit on every day with your salads. This is also good on pasta. You'd be surprised.
Well, I also really like them because if you cook them just right, they have just a little bit of a crunch. Like they don't feel like a mushy black bean, right? They feel, I don't know, a little more lentil-y. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So even like out of the can, they have a little more of a crunch to them than like a black bean. But you could also roast them with one of your vegetables one day so that they do have a little bit of a crunch. And then you could top your salads with that. So it's really just a yummy way.
That sounds really. I'm gonna go buy garbanzo beans right now. But let's talk about some of the substitutions you have. So we talked a little bit about the oats and the olive oil, but I know that we have some things that didn't quite fit into the $50 budget that we maybe want to look at as substitutions or additions if people are feeling like, okay, this looks great, but I feel like it's just missing a little kick.
Yes. First thing I want to talk about is that red wine vinegar. And this is since we're just talking about our salads, this is your salad dressing. Make your own salad dressing.
0 calories.
0 calories.
That's cool.
All vinegars are 0 calories. Actually, I'm not sure that balsamic, but I think it is. But you mix these 3 ingredients, shake them up really well. You can add a few spices into it, and you have a salad dressing, and you've made it yourself, and it's not full of all of these extra preservatives and calories
and sugar.
They add sugar to a lot of the salad dressings.
Yeah, they do.
They add a lot of fats to the salad dressings. If you look at salad dressings and the calories, and my big thing is you're not always counting calories, but it does help, but you have a great option right there for your salad dressing.
And I feel like that gives you just a little bit of a zing, a little bit of a, a little punch in your mouth if you're looking for something a little more flavorful.
Yeah. So it adds great flavor. So you have your olive oil, you've got your red wine vinegar. Balsamic vinegar is one of my favorites too to do in there instead of the red wine vinegar. And then a little lemon juice just to add that citrusy. and it's so good.
Nice. Okay, so we have some Almond Breeze unsweetened vanilla.
Yes.
So this is almond milk?
This is almond milk. If you're looking to start eating healthy, substitutions is always where I say start. Start looking at the things that are not that healthy that you want to start substituting. And for me, milk is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we've heard a lot about milk and you need the calcium from it and all this stuff. I think in my personal opinion, there's a lot of misconceptions around that. And I'm not saying completely cut out milk, but if you wanted to start looking at a different option for milk, almond milk and this particular combination, an unsweetened vanilla milk.
That's really important.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because even almond milk, if it's just vanilla and doesn't say unsweetened, then it's full of sugar.
Yep.
It is full of sugar. And again, you really need to stay away from sugar, trying to, keep back those menopausal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar is a big trigger. It's also a big trigger for a lot of other ailments and stuff like that.
So we could use this with our oats.
Yep.
We could maybe even for like a dessert, if we got really creative, we could have this with a little bit of the blueberries.
Yes, or bananas and a little drizzle of honey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
I also use this. I will add this to my smoothies that I do with banana, and I use peanut butter.
Oh, okay.
So a banana, and I add my spinach to that. And then I do a little bit of this with my water to make it a little creamier.
Got it.
So if you want to start somewhere for a milk alternative, I would start with an almond milk and an unsweetened vanilla.
Perfect.
So the vanilla kind of helps hide that almondy flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Gives it a feeling of sweetness, a taste of sweetness without it actually containing the sugar.
Got it. All right. So we have a pasta sauce here,
mm-hmm.
which is really exciting because it says no sugar added.
Yes, exactly.
And let me tell you, when you read the labels of pasta sauces, it's like sugar, 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 sugar,
oh, yeah.
sugar
and
everywhere.
Sometimes the first ingredient.
Yeah.
Yeah, first to second ingredient. And that is what's so scary, in my opinion, about not being, not understanding the food that you're eating. Mm-hmm. If you're blindly picking things up, I encourage you to read labels, start paying attention to this stuff. Even if it's just in the pasta sauce aisle, like starting to read the labels and look at them. And so again, this is not an expensive pasta sauce. You don't have to feel like you have to go expensive to get healthy.
Right.
I think this was like $1.99. And it has absolutely no sugar. It's literally tomato puree, water and tomato paste, olive oil, salt, onions, carrots, dehydrated onions, garlic powder, onion powder, and spices.
Wow.
That's it. So again, you're looking at those simple ingredients, not a lot of additives, minimal ingredients, and staying away from added sugar.
And it feels like something you would make yourself if you had time to make it, but
right.
Who has the time to make homemade pasta sauce?
Exactly.
Not me. And then lastly, we have this cute little packet of cinnamon.
Yes.
Let's talk about this.
So cinnamon is one of those really good spices for you. There's actually a lot of nutritional value out of cinnamon. There are different types of cinnamon, and there are some that contain more nutritional value than others. But just start getting some cinnamon into your diet. If you don't already own cinnamon, and I recommend putting it on your oats. It's delicious
mm-hmm.
in your oatmeal, just a little sprinkle of cinnamon. Even that dessert you were talking about, sprinkling a little cinnamon on it would add some great flavor. But if you're looking for, again, cost-effective options, it feels like spices are so expensive sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
And, to get all the spices, it feels like you got to go out and spend $50 to $100 on spices alone, right? To fill up your spice cabinet. But I wanted to show these because I think a lot of people overlook them, especially if they don't eat a lot of Mexican food, is looking for these spices in kind of the Mexican food section, because you can find some great ones, some cumin, some chili powder, and cinnamon in that section. And this, I think, was like $1.50. Wow. For that?
At a grocery store.
At a grocery store.
Yeah.
So, and you get a decent amount of cinnamon there. Put it in a little container after you open it.
Yeah. So I feel like I could stretch that for a month.
Oh, if maybe even a year. Yeah. I mean, you don't need a lot of it on your things. But yeah, you can stretch that, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. So again, as we were talking about, just ways to do things on a budget, to really get started with things, I wanted to show this because I've found that this is a great option for getting some good spices for a reasonable price.
And I put cinnamon in my coffee. Oh, it's so delicious. Yeah.
Well, so cinnamon was there. That's one of my other little tips and tricks. So.
All right. So this is everything. We covered everything on the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible that you can eat this healthily for $50 a week. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff on the table here that, yes, you would eat most of it in a week, but there's a lot of stuff that would carry forward to the next week. And so you're really talking about, maybe some of that chicken breast is left over. And that's a lot of food when you really think about it.
Yeah.
And wow, that's amazing. And I feel like I wouldn't mind making a few substitutions for a couple more dollars a week.
Yeah. Knowing
that the rest of this stuff could potentially carry over.
Mm-hmm. Especially your pasta. So, I mean, that's a lot of pasta.
Yeah,
you're probably not, for one person, you're not going to eat that. That might be a family of 4 or 5, 6 even, in one serving. But, getting the can of pasta sauce, and you have some options for not only an olive oil based pasta, but if you like red sauce, and red sauce is always much healthier than going.
And you don't even have to use this whole thing.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, one person, you're probably only using a third or quarter of the jar for a serving of it. So just keep it in the fridge after that.
So if you're looking for a way to eat healthy on a budget, we're going to make sure that this is in some sort of printable form for you to get to. And maybe if this is on YouTube, we'll leave the link down in the description box. If it's on the app, we'll make sure that we put in the comments where you can find it. Wherever you happen to be watching this video, we will make sure that you know where to get this information from. And if you need some more assistance, stick around, because the next episode that we're going to be talking about is our tips and tricks for making sure we're eating healthy and not considering this budget at all. Just tips and tricks for making sure that we're eating healthy throughout the week, because we're busy people. We don't have time to make sure, right, to cook our own pasta sauce.
And they keep us on track. It's ways to keep you on track.
Absolutely. So stick around for that. We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.